Glenn, just walk us through in these two documents, what did Todd Blanche actually give away to get these concessions and get these senators to vote for him?
That would be exactly nothing. And I want to start not with a point of light, Matt, but with a point of inevitability that actually mitigates just how horrific this development is. Todd Blanche was the acting attorney general. Because Todd Blanche had been confirmed previously by the Senate as the deputy attorney general, he could remain acting attorney general for the remainder of Donald Trump's term. He doesn't labor under the 120-day deadline. So this really doesn't make any appreciable difference in who is running the Department of Justice. That's cold comfort. That is very small consolation. But all of this was performative. And what it means legally, what Todd Blanche just did, it means nothing because what he did was he said, okay, we've got this settlement agreement in place. And there are at least a couple of features of the settlement agreement. One is I created a $1.8 billion cop beaters fund for Donald Trump to distribute as he sees fit. And two, as an afterthought, because he did this on day two back
Mhm.
in May, I'm also going to bestow this kind of made up tax immunity, an immunity against tax audits, not exactly cradle to the grave, but certainly cradle to the day I signed memo number 2 on May 19th. And it's not only, this tax shield that Donald Trump gets to hold up. I'm giving them out to his family members. I'm giving them out to his businesses. This is such a special kind of governmental insanity and abuse and corruption that it's hard to put words to it, at least from a guy who was a Fed for 30 years and 6 months before I retired from the federal government. So what he did, because I have to have a long-winded run up to everything, Matt, you'll get used to that. What he did is he said, I am rescinding the first part of the settlement agreement that created the weaponization fund, the cop beaters fund, but I'm leaving in place the other part of the settlement agreement. And you know what he ignored entirely? The fact that federal Judge Kathleen Williams has already ruled that the entire settlement agreement is null and void and invalid and a product of collusion and the fraud and a manipulation of the court. It doesn't exist legally. I understand Trump is appealing that ruling, but as of right now, the state of play is the federal courts have said it's not a settlement agreement. But Todd Blanche fumbles forward like it still is. And let me just add this as a footnote. He can revive the cop beaters fund anytime he wants the minute he gets confirmed.
I want to follow up on that point with you. My reading of this, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a simple former congressional staffer, but my reading of this is that since this immunity provision goes up through last year's tax return, on which Trump should be reporting the $2 billion he earned through his various crypto scams, it would be possible, in my reading of it, for Trump to file a tax return and pay anything, any amount that he wants, and not be subject to an IRS audit because he is immune. Now, maybe I'm misreading it. Maybe they can still make an assessment against him. Maybe there would be other repercussions. But is that as far as this immunity goes? Does he now have a complete get out of jail free card to do whatever he wants on any of his tax returns up through this most recent year?
I would say not expressly in that part of the settlement agreement, but practically speaking, if we can't conduct an audit, then we probably would have a tough time conducting a criminal investigation. And we would have an even tougher time actually holding him accountable, prosecuting him for tax fraud or his family members or his businesses. The only good news here is because this is not worth the paper it's written on, the next administration, and everybody please get to the polls because come January 2029, the rule of law has to become a thing again. It has to come back into the light of day.
Mhm.
And what we do is we criminally investigate Donald Trump for any suspected tax crimes if there's adequate predication. That's the magic term that means enough evidence to initiate a criminal probe, and then we prosecute him. And what Donald Trump does is he walks into court with his third-rate lawyers and he holds up the addendum saying, "Look, I have tax immunity of some sort, courtesy of Todd Blanche." And we litigate that issue, and Donald Trump very likely loses because I'll go back to the fact that a federal judge has already invalidated the whole damn thing, including the tax audit immunity that Todd Blanche gave him. So listen, this is a temporary problem. But I'm telling you, I wake up every morning now and I look forward to the new Donald Trump abuse. You know why? Because it is causing more and more people to peel away from him, and it will
Mhm.
drive people to the polls because he doesn't care about them. He only cares about himself. I don't want the abuses to slow down or ratchet back. I want them to accelerate because it only motivates us more. That's not Pollyanna. I think that's human nature.